Hello guys, welcome back. Today I'll be giving you a serious What if Minato was in My Hero Academia? No, start.
UA High School was the most prestigious and famous high school for heroics in Japan. Notable alumni such as All Might, Endeavor, Best Jeanist and others had become the most powerful, the most famous, and the most noteworthy pro-heroes of the modern times. So, of course, its Department of Heroics was the most wanted study course in the country, with the acceptance rate being less than 1%. To summarize, 99% of students would get their hearts crushed after entering UAS entrance exam. These statements and statistics filled the head of a certain teacher of UA. His face looked tired, as always. His posture looked lazy, as always. His mind was focused, as always. This teacher was Izawa Shota, also known as the pro-hero, Eraserhead, arriving to his school because it was a special day. The annual UAS entrance exam was ongoing, and he was slightly late. Izawa entered the monitoring room that was purposed for monitoring the exam. Morning, everyone. Sorry about being late, Izawa greeted, with a lazy tone to everyone in the room. The room was filled with the teachers and staffs of UA. Most of them also happened to be pro-heroes. By the way, Midnight, Present Mick, Vlad King, Cementos, Snipe, Ectoplasm, Power Loader, Hound Dog, 13, and of course, the #1 pro-hero himself, All Might, was in. Morning, Shota. This must feel like a drag for you to come to school this early. The R-rated hero, Midnight, also known as Kayama Nimuri, greeted back, with a little bit of sass. Sip it, Nimuri. I just want to get this day over and done already, Izawa replied. Don't be such a party pooper, Shota. You know this day is important for us as the first-year homeroom teachers, said the blood hero. Vlad King, also known as Kenseki Jiro, said to Izawa with a big smile on his face. As important as it is, they're all still brats in my eyes, Izawa replied back, while also watching the monitors. The monitors in the room were viewing the written exam being performed by the applicants. Well, the written exam just started 10 minutes ago, so less than 2 hours until the fun begins. Am I right or what? The voice hero, Present Mick, also known as Yamada Hizashi, and self-proclaimed best friend of Izawa Shota, said to his best friend and to everyone as well, it might be fun for us, but I don't think it will be fun for them. Everyone heard this reply from the one and only All Might, a really frail-looking, skeleton-looking All Might. It depends, All Might, whether or not they take this exam seriously, replied the pro-hero, Cementos, also known as the Shiyama Ken. I think we can all agree that those who do not take this exam seriously is either a fool or really arrogant, which would also make that student a fool, stated the pro-hero, Ectoplasm, who was surprisingly teaching mathematics, who continued the conversation in the monitoring room. About 5 minutes had passed in the monitoring room, and most teachers and staffs were just casually chatting while monitoring the students. Also casually, the applicants this year are very interesting, especially those who applied for the hero course. I might even say that these first years will be our most interesting in recent years. That statement slightly surprised the room a little, considering it came from the principal of UA High, and the only one in the room who wasn't human, Principal Nezu. What makes you say that, Principal? All Might, also known as Toshinori Yagi, asks the mouse, rabbit, bear-looking animal, because there's someone who's already finished the written exam. Instead of being answered by the principal, All Might was answered by Izawa, who had been closely looking at monitor for. Wow, really? Talk about finishing fast, Midnight said to Izawa, while also walking toward behind him. Like I said, either a fool or really arrogant, which makes him a fool considering the exam is still more than 100 minutes left until pencils down. Ectoplasm said, while also looking at monitor for. He doesn't look like he's finished. But looking closer, he's actually just checking his answer, Izawa again commented. Everyone quickly dismissed the applicant, who finished in only about 15 minutes, until Monitor 4 Ha. I expected him to finish quickly, but not this quick. Principal Nezu dropped the bombshell. Everyone in the room instantly narrowed their eyes and quickly turned their focus to Monitor 4. Which one? Vlad King asked, while also gave his full attention to Monitor 4. The spiky blonde brat that's wearing a white jacket and jeans, rather than a school uniform, answered Aizawa. The one in question looked like he was reading the questions in the written exam, while also checking his answer sheet, and his answer sheet was already filled to the fullest. Ah yes, everyone, I want you all to closely monitor him. He's, without a doubt, the most interesting applicant we've ever had in our prestigious school. Principal Nezu declared to everyone. And that truly surprised everyone in the room. To say that this spiky blonde kid was the most interesting, even though Endeavor's son entered with a recommendation in the same year, was definitely surprising. And let's not forget that somebody like All Might actually went to UA High. Let me see him. Oh wow, that's a very good-looking young man, said Midnight, who hurriedly sidestepped everyone and went in front of the monitor, truly impressed with the sight. The young man was indeed very good-looking, boyish charm and all. But Aizawa wondered something peculiar. He felt like he had seen the brat before, but he didn't remember where. And also thought a question for the principal. This brat didn't bribe anyone or cheated his way, right? Aizawa asked. I can assure you that UA is very above that kind of act, especially bribery, and when it comes to cheating, our monitoring system would pick up anything strange and instantly disqualified him. Principal Nezu replied in a clean and calm manner that everyone was already focused on Monitor 4. And when Aizawa came out with that question to the principal, it wondered them more about the applicant in question. Aizawa's eyes had been focused on the brat's answer sheets all this time, and then a small smile appeared on Aizawa's face, clearly showing amusement. What's with the smile, bro? Kinda creeps me out. Present Mick asked his best friend, former classmate with a creepy smile. Because his answers are all correct, that's what, answered Aizawa, and again, shocked the room. What's this brat's name again? Aizawa asked. His name was Namikaze Minato, the yellow flash of Konoha, the fourth Hokage of Konoha, the one who was kinda sleepy after finishing his written exam and wanted to take a nap. But that would be very rude, so he didn't. High school level written test and advanced one. But still, high school level, thought Minato, who was checking the questions while also matching his answers. After the checking and matching, it was clear to him that his answers were all correct, but just to be safe, he then checked again, while also thinking that he finished this in only about 15 minutes. I probably need to think of something to pass the time, Minato thought in his head, trying to not be bored out of his mind. So then, he did. He thought about the world that he lived in, and the world that he left behind. He thought about having no one he can call family in this world, and his family in the other world. He thought more about the world out of his reach than the world he was in. I miss you, Naruto, Kushina. That was the thought that he finally reached. The fact that he had met his son for the second time and said son was already 17. Meeting him was the most joyous thing he had ever experienced after his own death, being revived to fight the fourth shinobi war against his own student, Obito, his greatest failure. Imagine his surprise that the cause of his own death was his beloved student, but then came his greatest success, Naruto, seeing him grown up and living up to his own ideals and dreams, something that Minato couldn't do. There was only one feeling that he could feel when seeing his son in the fourth war. He was proud. And back then, he couldn't wait to tell Kushina, their son, saving the world. But instead of reuniting with Kushina, he had been reincarnated to this world instead. A new life you have earned. Minato remembered hearing those words before he was reincarnated, and the voice sounded a lot like the sage. Alas, he was given a second life. As a baby that was dropped in an orphanage, The bad luck of it all was that Minato was still an orphan, no matter what world he was in, and this world, the world of heroes and villains, the world of quirks, thought Minato, while outside, his head rechecking his tests again. Growing up as an orphan in an orphanage wasn't really a sunny experience, so he showered himself with any kind of books, while also trying to figure out if he could do ninjutsu. Spoiler alert, he could do ninjutsu. When he found out that he still had chakra and could still do ninjutsu, Minato was able to be calm because if he had lost all his abilities, the abilities he had grown for years, he would have seriously thrown a fit back then. Toddler Minato then studied about the new world he got into, quirks, heroes, airplanes, university. It astounded him so much that back then, he drooled. So he'd studied everything, trying to reach the highest form of education from an early age, and he'd actually succeeded. He'd reached the education he wanted, the knowledge he could had grasped. But then he knew about heroes. Pro heroes that used their quirks, which in Minato's mind was basically just abilities unique to that person akin to chakra, to save people. So, of course, he would want to become a pro hero. Pencils down, the announcement broke Minato out of his musings, and realized that he had been busy with his own mind, that hours had felt like nothing. Let's prepare for the practical exam, shall we? Namikaze Minato, when he first heard it. It didn't really shock him or anyone in the monitoring room, but Ozawa Shota felt like he once heard of the name, for some reason. That's a really cool name for such a good-looking young man, don't you think? Midnight said to the room. I don't care about how cool is the name, but I feel like I've heard it somewhere, Ozawa replied, while trying his hardest remembering. I feel like I've also heard the name. This actually caught everyone's attention, because the symbol of peace was the one that said it. I guess right now will be a good time to explain. Principal Nezu finally opened up to his teachers and staffs. Would everyone please use your search engine and type the name Namikaze Minato on your respective phone, please, the principal politely asked, and everyone instantly took out their phones, wanting to follow the principal's request. Everyone reacted the same way after the search engine finished its task, by slightly widening their eyes. So that's why I've heard of his name, Ozawa thought. I'm a bit impressed, Ozawa stated to the principal. Clearly was a bit surprised as well. Well, yes. Interesting, like I told all of you, the principal replied in a calm way, with a small smile on his face. Everyone was still intrigued by the content of their respective search engines. Maybe impressed was more appropriate. 5-year-old prodigy wins ultimate shogi competition. Genius prodigy, Namikaze Minato, is a genius not because of his quirk. Young prodigy saved 13 people from a burning apartment. Genius orphan graduated from high school, and he's only 10. 15-year-old boy genius receives a master's degree. Meet Namikaze Minato, the future of theoretical physics. Young physics prodigy wants to be a pro hero instead, so the brat's a little Einstein. How pretty great resume, but he wants to be a pro hero instead. Ozawa summarized. He's an orphan as well. Poor kid, even though he's blessed with that kind of brain. Present Mick commented, while also looking at his phone. Principal Nezu then walked a bit to a desk where there was a file, and he grabbed it. I know you're all surprised by this applicant's achievements, but that is just the tip of the iceberg. This file contains Namikaze Minato general information, and you can expect that this isn't a normal case. Principal Nezu explained to his employees. Give me that. Ozawa quickly grabbed it from the mouse, dog, bear-looking thing. Not showing any patience at all. He quickly opened the file and read the contain. Instead, more questions arise when Ozawa read it. Namikaze Minato, age 16, date of birth the 23rd of January 2020. Previous academic achievement, master's degree in theoretical physics, Kyushu University. Ozawa read in silence. Quirk, *redacted guardian, *redacted for further inquiry. Please contact the Hero Public Safety Commission. That clearly took Aizawa by surprise. Why is the commission's stamp all over this file? Aizawa questioned the principal, and it clearly had everyone's attention. Namikaze Minato is definitely a special case. The commission is clearly watching his career with great interest, and they are being very careful about him. Nezu answered the rather curious Aizawa. I see. Now I remember. All Might exuberantly stated to the whole room, surprising some of his college. What do you remember? All Might. Cementos curiously asked the symbol of peace about Namikaze Minato. The commission once asked me to take a look at him when he was young because they were grooming him. From such a young age, All Might explained, grooming him to be a pro-hero. Sounds like the shenanigans that they are always doing to orphans with potential, stated Midnight out loud. Well, I took a rain check back then because I was busy. And next thing you know, a few years has passed, and here we are, ha ha ha. The symbol of peace stated and started laughing dryly. Everyone in the room had the same thought, that Namikaze Minato was a prospect from the Hero Public Safety Commission. And it meant that the applicant had a great potential. Except for Aizawa. So, he's a prospect from the commission, huh? Just like a certain winged someone, thought Aizawa in his own mind. But why did they ask All Might to take a look at this Namikaze brat, and why didn't he get an UA via recommendations like Endeavor's brat? And what's all the secrecy surrounding his quirk and guardian? He continued his thought. All of a sudden, Aizawa finally reached a conclusion that he really thought would be impossible to begin with. But it all adds up. There was only one reason why the commission would treat an individual like this, but if it's true, then I wonder how you will fare in the practical exam, Namikaze brat. This wasn't what he expected. Everybody, say hey, Present Mick enthusiastically said to the whole auditorium, and nobody replied. I feel so bad for the guy, thought Minato, all looking at the grand stage, where Present Mick was standing, due to the tenseness that every applicant was experiencing. None of them felt like answering the shout-out. For Minato, he didn't really feel tense, but he certainly would appreciate the atmosphere to be a little lighter than what he currently experiences. There's definitely more than 700 applicants for UAS Hero course. And judging by the amount, the practical exam will be held in a ground like the Forest of Death, Minato thought. While examining the whole ATGOH code, it's not like the Forest of Death, Minato loudly thought. He then looked at his exam ticket, where it said that his test location was Battle Center D, but something was bugging him a little. Someone was muttering a little too loudly behind him. I guess someone's very excited today, how? Present Mick then continued to explain the rules and the applicant's objective of the practical exam, such as you could bring everything you want. There were 3 kinds of Fox villain, robots with 3 different points that you could earn, and the goal to immobilize every Fox villain, robots with 3 different points that you could earn, and the goal to immobilize every Fox villain, robot you could find, of course. Attacking other applicants and any other unheroic actions were prohibited. May the first ask a question? An applicant raised his hand and questioned Present Mick. Minato immediately turned his attention to the applicant, who looked like a basic honor student. Okay. Present Mick replied. Even though he was interrupted abruptly, on the printout, there are 4 types of villains. If this is a misprint, then UA, the most prominent school in Japan, should be ashamed of that foolish mistake. The questioning applicant loudly proclaimed to Present Mick, we examinees are here in this place because we wish to be molded into exemplary heroes. In addition, you over there with the curly hair, you've been muttering this whole time, it's distracting. He continued his proclamation, and then pointed to someone behind Minato, the muttering one. So Minato looked at pointed direction. He's stammering. Don't be so nervous, kid. You can ace this exam. I know it. Minato cheered the muttering kid on his own mind. If you're here on a pleasure trip, then you should leave immediately, called out the honor student, the former muttering kid, and turned into the stammering kid. Could only whisper I'm sorry. Minato then looked at the spiky blonde boy beside him, And he looked back, with a real attitude. What are you looking at? How? The blonde boy asked in a rude manner. Nothing. Sorry, Minato answered with a small smile, then turned his attention back to present make. Okay, examine number 7111. Thanks for the great message, Present Mick said, allowing a fourth fox villain, Robot, to appear behind him. The fourth type of villain is worth 0 points. That guy's an obstacle, so to speak. There's one in every battle center, an obstacle that will go crazy in narrow spaces. It's not impossible to defeat, but there's no reason to defeat it either, he further explained. Minato realized that the fourth fox villain, Robot, was basically just an obstacle to scare the applicants. A big obstacle that could be solved by just running away and would never have to face it. No. That's wrong, Minato thought to himself, letting the memories of his time as a shinobi flew by. The night of his son's birth, where a huge obstacle was something that couldn't be gone just by running away from it. The day that his students left on a mission on their own, where one sacrificed himself, only to be sacrificing others thereafter. You must never run from anything, or it will kill you later, and ruin everyone you care about. Past was truly Minato's worst and best teacher. The great hero Napoleon Bonaparte once said, "True heroism consists in being superior to the ills of life, plus ultra. Break a leg, everyone." The teachers and staffs of MHA in the monitoring room were readying themselves for the practical exam. They were seated in their position, and looked at the monitors that showed every battle center about to be used. Aizawa was clearly focused on seeing this year's applicants. Considering some would be his future student and one clearly needed to be given extra attention. So, Battle Center D was given a bit more attention by our favorite sleepy-looking teacher. So, 5 minutes until it begins. Do you think we gonna have a surprise? Vlad King, who was surprisingly beside Aizawa, asked. It better, or else I'd be underwhelmed, answered Aizawa, who clearly voiced his eagerness in a slow and lazy manner. You sure are getting your hopes up, Shota. Is it because of that Namikaze kid? Asked Midnight, who cut in their conversation, and also instantly appeared beside Aizawa. I don't get my hopes up, Nemuri, but, considering the commission clearly does so, I want to know what interests them. Aizawa answered, all looking at the monitor showing Battle Center D. In front of it. Battle Center D was already packed with applicants eager and readying themselves for the practical exam. The monitor also showed Namikaze Minato in front of said battle center, wearing a navy blue shirt with long sleeves, navy blue pants, sandals, and also a pouch behind him. And also a metal-plated headband, HMM. What is that symbol? A leaf or something, Aizawa commented in silence. All right, it's starting, stated Vlad King, who watched the monitor as Battle Center D's gate was starting to open. The gate was barely open, clearly. The only thing that could fit the gate then was a small item, and not a person, out of nowhere. Namikaze Minato threw something and it went through the gate. In the monitor, it showed a 3-pronged kunai with markings on its hilt. Is that a kunai? Why did he throw it already? Midnight wondered, and that wonderment was also shared by Aizawa. The kunai was still in the air, not landing and seeking a target. The gate was still too small for anyone to enter, and then, all of a sudden, Namikaze Minato appeared to his kunai's position, and took his kunai from midair. Everyone in the monitoring room was instantly on the edge of their seat, not expecting anyone to enter the battle center with its gate barely open. Wait, did he just teleport? Vlad King asked with a shocked expression. Our camera and speedometer didn't catch him, and he instantly appeared in Battle Center D. Maybe his quirk is teleportation. Ectoplasm stated his opinion of the room. Minato then threw the kunai in his right hand with all his power, and the kunai met its target, the highest vantage point inside the battle center, which coincidentally was also positioned at the center where all lanes cross paths. That's one heck of a throw, and very precise as well, Snipe commented Minato's actions. The gate is still barely open and none of the other applicants have entered except him. Cementos also commented on Minato's clear head start in the practical exam. Is he breaking the rules right now? Considering it feels like the practical exam hasn't even started yet. Midnight asks for clearance on this situation. Technically, since the gate is already open, the practical exam has already started, so he didn't break any rules. Nezu answered Midnight's question while also watching what Minato was going to do. In the time where everyone was voicing their opinion, Minato was already on the vantage point, observing the whole battle center like a hawk in its nest, and his hands were also holding a three-pronged kunai, four on each hand. Everyone in the monitoring room didn't realize that they were about to witness something rare. To witness the yellow flash in action. Minato was prepared for this. His experience as a shinobi, as a soldier, was more than enough to prepare him for this. The sight below him showed everything he wanted, his targets, every single one of them. And none of the other applicants were inside of the battle center. There were about 8 roads in the area. He was holding 8 kunai, and each of every road was filled with about 15 fox villains, robots. Minato then threw his kunai to all the roads in the battle center, 1 kunai to each road. After all the kunai landed, he immediately used Hiraishin and instantly transported to the ground below. Where his kunai had been positioned, he grabbed the embedded kunai on the ground and threw it again to the nearest fox villain, robot on sight. The kunai almost met its target, but Minato already transported before it as ticked. He caught the kunai that was still not meeting the fox villain, robot. His chakra already enhancing set kunai to further improve its sharpness. The three-pronged kunai cut through the fox villain, robot like cutting through butter. In an instant, he cleaved the fox villain, robot in half. Immediately after his target was immobilized. Minato threw his kunai again to his next target, and he repeated what he did to another fox villain, robot, after it was destroyed. He repeated it again to the next one, and again, and again, and again, until all the fox villain, robot on that road was destroyed, whether it was a 1-pointer, a 2-pointer, or even a 3-pointer, they were all shattered and cleaved in an instant. After the first road was cleared, Minato transported himself to another road, left a yellow flash and that's it for today. Thank you for watching. See you in the next part.